Hey everyone, welcome to the video. Going my cheat sheet for tomorrow's NASCAR race at 3 p.m. at Michigan, the Consumers Energy 400 at Michigan International Speedway. Before we continue though, if you could leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on my new videos, I would really appreciate that. You can also follow me on Twitter at ChrisPennell16, and if you would like access to my entire NASCAR cheat sheet and my Slack chat with all my content, ranking, projections, all that, the link is in the description below for my Patreon. And if you're wondering why this video is coming out before practice, I apologize, but it's really the only viable option for me this weekend. I have a plane to catch right as final practice is ending, and then I'm going to be in Vegas, so I thought I would do this beforehand because it'd be easier on me, and I could get this out a little earlier to get to reach to more people. So that is what we're doing this week, but if you would like the updated content after practice, the link will be in the description below for my cheat sheet. And really not much should change unless someone really sucks in practice or shows some speed, but really these are probably just going to be the guys I'm going to end up targeting anyway. So let's get into the driver by driver breakdown. Actually, let me do a little preview of the track first. So this is the Consumers Energy 400 at Michigan. The track is Michigan International Speedway, or MIS. And then it's a D-shaped oval. It's 2 miles in length, 200 laps, and then there's 150 Dominator points available. And really just the strategy is kind of basic. We're going to want 1 to 2 Dominators per lineup, and then fill the rest out with some place differential guys. So now let's get into the driver by driver breakdown, and I will say I'm not going to talk about everybody, but I'm going to talk about the guys I highlighted. So Kyle Busch up top. This is interesting this week because he usually qualifies near the top, and he's 12,400, but he qualified 22nd, making him probably the best place differential play on the board, just based off of where he's probably going to finish and possibly the top 3. And now we have some other guys that are way in the back later on, but Kyle Busch obviously usually has the strongest car, if not like a top 5 car. And qualifying 22nd, it makes it seem like you have to play him, and honestly, it feels like you do. He has the best average finish here. He's in the top 5 60% of the time, 106 driver rating, averaging 51 DraftKings points per race here. So, and he's in the top 10 100% of the time the last 5 races. So there's nothing not to like here. The only problem is he might, if you're going to play him, it might come to at the expense of using a Dominator, and Dominators are important. There's 150 Dominator points available. It's not as important as like a 400 lap race or something like at Bristol or Martinsville, but it's still important. And if Harvick or like Keselowski end up just dominating the race, and Kyle Busch gets top 10, they're still going to outscore him. Now, with the value options we do have this week, it is possible to get both of them, like Kyle Busch and a Dominator in a lineup. It's just going to be hard to do, but it is possible. So, really, Kyle Busch is the main question this week. It depends. Do you want to spend that much for a place differential guy? Honestly, I think he's worth it. He's got the safest floor out of all the guys in this tier, in the 10K and up tier, because he's going to move up. So I don't mind using Kyle Busch at all. He's awesome here, and I really have no problem with it. Then Kevin Harvick at 11,800. He qualified second. I really thought he was going to get the pole. If you were watching qualifying, he absolutely murdered everyone before Keselowski went. He was 0.8 seconds above the field, and he's been good here. 54.5 DraftKings points per race, 121 driver rating, which leads everybody on this sheet by quite a big margin. I think Truex is second in 107, so he's at 121. He does have a win. He does have a win here in the top 5 40% of the time, top 10 60% of the time, average finish of 7. So I do like Kevin Harvick a lot. And the question is really if you want to play Harvick or Keselowski, because I think they're both excellent Dominator plays. Then Martin Truex Jr., he qualified 15th. He's 11,300, and he has actually been the best here in terms of DraftKings points per race at 58.5, average finish of 8. He's in the top 5 40% of the time here. Has not won the past 5 races here, but still really, really good here, and he qualified 15th, so I do like that a lot. He could be an interesting pivot off of Kyle Busch. Now, you're not going to be able to play Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr., or like a guy like Keselowski. That's just not possible unless you want to play 3 scrubs, which you don't want to do. So I do like Truex quite a bit. Really, it's going to depend on who's really good in practice. Although I will say Truex never really performs well in practice. But hey, you never know. Maybe he has an outstanding practice. And then Brad Keselowski, he ended up nabbing the pole. Now, this is his home track from Michigan. And he's averaging 44 DraftKings points per race here. Top 5 20% of the time. Top 10 60% of the time. So I do like him quite a bit. He is in the pole, so he is the favorite to lead the early laps, and hopefully Harvick doesn't get around him, Not unless you're playing Harvick, then you'd be happy with that. But it's going to be hard picking between Keselowski and Harvick. Now, Keselowski does come in at a 1,100 discount, which is really, really important to get all the savings you can get this week. And if Keselowski can dominate like the first stage and hopefully stay up front and finish in the top 3, I think he is worth that salary. And I did actually forget to show you the laps led stats. So if you're looking at it, Kevin Harvick is averaging the most laps led here per race. Second in average fast laps. Truex is averaging the most fast laps, and all these top 3 guys are obviously going to dominate all these categories. Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, Martin Truex are really just the big dogs here, and then Joey Logano and Brake Keselowski aren't too bad either. Just wanted to get that in there if you guys are interested in that. So then we have Joey Logano. He qualified 8th. He's at 10,200, and I do like him. I like him the least probably out of this group, but he did win here last race in June. And qualifying 10th, he always seems to stay up front. He does have that win. Top 5, 40% of the time. Top 10, 80% of the time. So if you want to get different, I think Joey Logano might be the way to go. Now, is he my favorite play? No, but I think he can hang around there, and he always seems to get up front. And he did win last race, so I do think he is pretty interesting. Then Denny Hamlin at 9,900. He qualified 14th, and he has an average finish of 10.2 here. He's in the top 10 40% of the time. He's not my favorite play in the world, and he is really expensive, but he's been racing really well recently. So I don't mind if you want to go with him. He should be able to move up. Then he's really the only one I'm interested in this tier. Everyone else kind of qualified a little bit too high. They are good cars, though, and they probably could hang around there, but not too interested for DraftKings purposes. Now, Kurt Busch, I really like Kurt Busch this weekend. He qualified 13th. He's 8,900. He got a big price dip compared to last week. He's averaging 45 DraftKings points per race here, average driver rating of 101, average finish of 6.8, which I believe is second best out of all these drivers. He's in the top 5 40% of the time, top 10 60% of the time. So I do think Kurt Busch is a really good play. He might go a little lower owned because he qualified 13th, and you might think there's not a lot of place differential upside, but I do think he can get that top 5. So I do like Kurt Busch a lot. And then Eric Jones, he's not my favorite play in the world, but he's a guy I seem to play a lot, and he doesn't usually suck. Now, sometimes, I know I played him the one time, he crashed like one of the first few laps and absolutely killed me, and then he did really bad the next week too. But he's a pretty good driver. He's got an average finish of 15. He has gotten the top 5 here. I believe he's in the top 20. 80%, top 15, 80% of the time, so chances are he is going to get that place differential upside, and I can't see him carrying too much ownership unless he has a really good practice. So I don't mind if I'm going to go with Eric Jones. And now one of my favorite plays of the week is Kyle Larson at 8,300. He qualified 17th, and DraftKings just kind of mispriced him. He's averaging 43 DraftKings points per race here, average driver rating of 99. And if you look at that ceiling driver rating, it's at 140.5. He's got 2 wins here the past 5 races. It's in the top 5 40% of the time, average finish of 12. The past few races have not been too kind to him. But the big thing with Kyle Larson is this week, they applied PJ1, that traction compound, to the racetrack. And Kyle Larson loves PJ1. I liked Kyle Larson last week. They had PJ1 on Pocono, and he performed really well. So I really, really like Kyle Larson this weekend. He's probably going to be one of my highest owned drivers. Hopefully he's got a good practice. But yeah, Kyle Larson on PJ1 is straight money usually, so do like him quite a bit. And then Ryan Newman at 7,900. I like him. He qualified 20th. He's averaging 35 DraftKings points per race here. He's at an average finish of 12. He does have a top 5, couple top 10s, so I do like Ryan Newman at that price tag. Chris Buescher, he qualified 25th, and if you look at his numbers, he's just been a much better driver this season. I think he can top 20 at 7,300. You don't need too much. I think he can top 15. Might be pushing it just a little bit there, but I do think he can top 20, and he should be able to pay off value at 7,300. Then Austin Dillon at 7,100. Man, I hate playing Austin Dillon so much. He always sucks for me. But qualifying 37th, he really can't do any harm to us. Now watch, he's probably going to be the first one to crash and ruin all of our lineups anyway. But starting 37th at 7,100, you pretty much got to lock him in, especially in cash games. He's got an average finish of 15 here. He's in the top 5 20% of the time, top 10 20% of the time, top 15 60% of the time. So I do think you have to pretty much lock him in. I'm going to be close to that. I know it sucks playing Austin Dillon, but I do think he's a really, really fantastic play this weekend. He's actually the number 1 value play in my model as of right now, which I know is not special, but I just saying I think Austin Dillon is a fantastic play. Then MDB qualified 27th. He continues to have a really good season. Now, if you look at his numbers, he was in bad equipment before, so I'm kind of throwing that out, although we do have that last race sample size. But qualifying 27th, he should be able to move up, and I think he's a pretty good play at 6,600. Although he did become a worse play once Daniel Hemrick got that 38th qualifying spot. And I should say Austin Dillon and Daniel Hemrick, they did not qualify this bad. They ended up having their qualifying times disallowed after something they didn't like about something. I forget exactly. So they got moved to the back. They actually qualified in the top 10. So they had fast cars in the single lap, but Daniel Hemrick is starting dead last, so there's absolutely no downside here. He finished 12th here last race in June, and I think he's one of the top plays on the board. He should be able to smash value, hopefully get a top 20, and I think he's an awesome play. If you want to go Austin Dillon and Daniel Hemrick in all your lineups, I have absolutely no problem with that. It's probably going to be in the winning lineup, so do like them. And then I like Ryan Preece and Bubba Wallace as cheap guys. Ryan Preece starting 29th. Now, is he the best driver in the world? No, he's still a rookie, but he's below 6K. He's starting near 30th. And I think he can get a top 25. He did finish 25 here last race, so I do think he's a pretty good play. Then Bubba Wallace, I don't really like playing Bubba Wallace. He always seems to screw me late in the race. You'll see a caution. He's running well, then you see caution flag, then it's Bubba Wallace, and he's got 3 tires. So, but I don't mind him. He's got an average finish of 22 here. He's only 5,700. He qualified 26, so I do think he is a pretty good play. He's averaging 25 DraftKings points per race here. Anyway, guys, I think that's all I got for the video. I'm sorry it's before practice. I really am. I try to get the best info out there possible, but it's kind of what I'm doing right now because it's going to be hard to do a video later in the day. Hopefully this was a good preview for you guys. And, yeah, so that's going to be it. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below. Remember, leave a like, subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate that. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on my new videos. Links in the description below for my cheat sheet and all my extra content on Patreon. If you get in Slack chat, you can ask me all the questions you want. Yeah, that's going to be it for the video. I wish you guys the best of luck. If I do by chance be able to do an updated video, I will, but there's no promises there. And yeah, wish you guys the best of luck and have a great weekend.